Hey everybody, Mr. Snyder here. Today's lesson is going to be, as you read already, nutrition. Fats. Are they good or are they bad? Well, there's starting to be a lot of controversy out there as to whether or not they are good or they are bad. We know what's good and we know what's bad, but there's one thing that's kind of like in limbo here. Let's begin with a little bit of knowledge here. First off, this video is going to be very basic. Going to give you the basic, kind of like a glancing blow about fats. Nothing too complex, nothing too deep here in regards to fats and the chemical structures and makeup and you know the physiological standpoints and anatomical structures. Nothing like that. We're just going to go over what they are and what they can do, where they're found, kind of thing. Fats are essential for bodily function. We need fat. All right, so you have to consume some fat in order to survive. They work for organ protection. They work for I said organ protection, insulation. They work for other items, hormones and all kinds of things. So we need fat to basically work properly, more or less. All right, again, basic, but that's the gist. So let's begin with unsaturated fat. This is something that we've known as good for us, and that still remains true. There's two types here, and that's monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. Basically, the difference is the size of the chemical chain. Monounsaturated fat has a bit shorter chain. Polyunsaturated fat is a bigger one. These both fats are found in different items like canola oil, olive oil, peanut oil, things like that. Typically, these are liquid at room temperature. So when you're walking through the store, check out the olive oil. Check out any of the other oils that I mentioned there. They're liquid at room temperature. If you throw them in a refrigerator, they'll start to kind of like gel and solidify, basically become not so liquidy. Those are unsaturated fats. I'll flip a food product over. Check out a nutrition label. Let's see, here's a bottle of water. There's a nutrition label, okay? That would have the amount of unsaturated fat. That's water, there's none in there. You can see how much unsaturated fat would be in that product, and it would break it down by saturated fat, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, things like that. If we move on to something a little bit more kind of in limbo, like I mentioned, that's why I gave it a kind of a thumb to the side here. There's been a lot of debate about whether or not this is healthy or this is unhealthy for us. Some doctors will say, forget it, eat it, go for it, rock on, dude, thumbs up, let's go. Other doctors will say, whoa, pump the brakes, we need to think about this for a second. And others are like, well, I don't know. So where do I fall? I would fall in, so what does that mean? All right, well, saturated fat is okay in small quantities. If you start to eat too much of it, well, then we have a problem. See, saturated fat is known to raise our bad cholesterol. That's not good. I read also that saturated fat can raise our glucose levels. That's not good. So what do we do? Well, basically, you watch how much saturated fat you have. You wouldn't go into a store and say, "Oh, I like that tasty cake pastry or whatever," and buy 35 of them and eat them all at lunch. It'd be an interesting challenge, but it wouldn't be very healthy. There's a ton of saturated fat in those things. Same will go for, like, say, fast food, cheeseburgers, pizzas, cheesesteaks, those kinds of things. Anything with a decent amount of saturated fat in it, you want to try to consume smaller amounts of it. The thing with saturated fat is it's typically found in like animal sources. So your meats, you know, like steak. That's why I have a picture of steak there. The other foods that I just mentioned, as well as dairy products. You know, is it always a bad thing? Again, no, it's not always a bad thing. But the thing about it is that we don't want to raise our bad cholesterol. We don't want to add extra fat tissue or adipose tissue to our bodies. We want to make sure that we kind of keep that low. The thing is that if we consume too much of certain foods, that it can raise arterial plaque, or basically this hard substance inside our arteries. And arteries are typically flexible. If they get this plaque buildup in there, they become solidified or unflexible. That plaque can also break off, travel down the artery, cause heart attack, stroke, or something like that, death if it's severe enough. It could also cause an aneurysm. Aneurysm is when that artery bursts open or perforates and blood starts to leak out into the body cavity as opposed to going down the artery. So those kinds of things are something we have to worry about. Do we have to worry about them if we eat that one tasty cake or that one burger? No. But if we consume a lot of this over a period of time, over a long period of time, we could be opening ourselves up to future health issues, especially if we're sedentary or not active. So those are some things that we have to worry about. Again, there's a lot of debate out there about that. I would suggest maybe looking at some things and doing some research for yourself, or chat with me. We can dive into that a lot deeper. Now, something that we know is definitely bad is trans fat. This was developed back in like the 50s or 60s, and basically what it did is it was very stable, so it allowed food to stay on the shelves longer. It's actually in quite a few products. And what happens here is it's basically a fat, chemically it's a fat chain. But what they do is it's engineered so that more hydrogen is added to the chain. That makes it last longer, and it then becomes a trans fat. The thing is, while it should be on the food label, it doesn't have to be on the food label if there's less than a half of a gram per serving. Now that serving can be very small, can be very, very big, whatever, but less than half a gram per serving, it doesn't have to be on the food label. So you might look at a food label and not see any trans fat, or they'll say no trans fat right on the packaging. Check out the ingredients. There's a workaround. Again, this can go unnoticed to the untrained person. The workaround is look for hydrogenated oils, partially hydrogenated oils, something to that effect where hydrogen seems to have been added to the food product. That is your tip off to trans fat. If you see that, you should probably put it back on the shelves. This stuff is so bad that it is worse than saturated fat. Even in small quantities, it can increase your risk for cardiovascular disease, and as well as the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, is currently attempting to remove it from products in general. So that shows that, hey, whoa, big awareness, red flag, stay away, run away perhaps. So drop that food product, leave it on the shelves. But definitely check out food labels and ingredients to see that. The healthy menu would basically be to limit saturated fats, get rid of trans fats, consume unsaturated fats. All right? So if you're looking at those triangles starting at the top, we've got consume, saturated fats, limit it, trans fats, nope, get rid of it. Gone, toss it out the window. Not really, don't toss things out the window, no, leave it on the shelf. Just put it back. So anyway, with that, again, this video is basic. If you want more complex information, check out the YouTube video over there, and they'll go over some more molecular structure, as well as some other information. It's a great video. I just thought it might be a bit much for most of us. This was a bit more basic, but again, if you want to get into something a little bit more of a conversation, debate, or a little bit more research, let me know. Reach out to me. Let me know what's up. And with that, I hope you're well. I hope this was beneficial. Contact me if you have any questions. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.